Somebody is going to do it because it's in the Bible. It's prophesied.
They're not going to let Iran have nuclear weapons. But when do you think that invasion of Russia and Iran into the Mideast will happen that we read in Ezekiel 38?
As soon as they feel threatened by us, I think it will be preemptive. When they are pretty much, sure that we're going with it, there's something we're definitely going to do, I think they'll take the jump on us.
So you think that the Great War in Ezekiel, that's Ezekiel 38 and 39, Gog and Magog is Russia, and it talks about this great military invasion of Russia into the Mideast.
Well, what I don't think people realize is that this war is just as much here as it is there in Israel. It's just as much here. Because when you see Israel in the Old Testament or in the New, in the Bible, it's either talking about the land of Israel or the people of Israel.
Right.
And the United States is Babylon. We're known as several things in the Bible. We're also known as Israel.
To America?
Yes. So you have to look at things. When you look at it, the Lord kept telling me that Ezekiel 38 and 39 had to do with America, and I just couldn't put it together. I still can't grasp it, because when you look at this text itself,
right,
it will talk about, all the different nations and the land itself of Jerusalem and Israel, so it's going to be there. But in some way, it also affects America very deeply. And we also see that when they head to Israel, that they fire their missiles on the coastlands, the isles.
Well, maybe that's what this new nuclear weapons program of Russia is talking about. Maybe that's exactly what it means, Sherry, that when they invade the Mideast, they will hit the United States with missiles.
Let me tell you something about Russia. I mean, our government loves to just make them sound like they're still having outhouses. Right. They don't have any modern technology, that they're still, like they did to Mexico, assassinate the whole technology of the country into third worldism. Russia is very dominant. Russia is the king of military right now. And let me, they beat us in space. We can't even put up a satellite in space without them shooting it down.
Well, that's true.
We have to basically stay in our own territory, and if we go out of it, they're going to shoot us down. And they shot down the Columbia. They shot down the Challenger to show supremacy. Russians have space supremacy. The United States does not. It's a joke.
So Russia could theoretically knock out our satellites, and then we're totally blinded to what's coming.
And they will knock out every major American city during the War of Armageddon with just space scalar weapons. They don't even have to launch a bomb. They're going to do it all from space. And people have seen visions where we are under attack by the Chinese and the Russians, and every Air Force pilot that goes to take off is shot down by space. Not one of our planes can get off the ground because they just shoot them down like popcorn from space.
From their satellites?
From their weapons, yeah. They're space weapons. They are dominant in arms and weapons. And you will see this. It's why they're one of the more dominant powers, and the Lord wipes them out himself.
Right. Well, like I said, this week Russia announced that they probably already had it, but they announced they have a new secret super missile program.
Oh, every time they announce something, they've had it in the works for 10 or 20 years. That's usually the military rule of thumb. You don't announce something until you've already had it 10 or 20 years.
Well, that's probably what we're seeing. Nostradamus, he also saw a great war when Russia turns against the United States.
Well, Russia and China, I think it was Deagle, Bill Deagle, America's Last Days.
I didn't read that book, but...
Oh, it's a website online, America's Last Days. He's one of my favorites. I love Deagle. Deagle, for those who want to Google it. And he saw in a vision of China, the leaders of China and Russia and Europe meeting. And Europe pretty much just turning their backs. They knew it was coming, but they weren't going to do anything to stop it. And China and Russia having this agreement where China would get the land, but Russia would be their strength in organizing the attack.
Right.
And so it would mostly be China's manpower, but it would be the Russian generals, directing the attack. Yeah, and their technology. And Bill Deagle had a vision of that and saw it. And one of Dmitry Grudeman's son had an interesting vision a couple weeks ago. You can see that online. It's about the serpent and the snake.
Right. And
that was a really good vision about a war coming to America. Almost the same thing as what Deagle was saying.
Well,
he said that there would be 3 attacks. 911 was the first. The second one would be, a more devastating than 911, but pretty bad. And then the third one would be the war. It would be
invasions, right?
The invasion. Mm-hmm. We got one more attack coming before we have a huge invasion coming. 8:44, folks. I got time for one more caller. If you want to call, 260-356-2611. Talking to Pastor Harry.
Well, you know, Sherry, in the Old Testament, that when one nation was in sin, God brought bigger nations against that nation to destroy them in judgment.
And you know
what I see happening to America today.
Well, America right now is one of the largest satanic abominations in this world, and the Lord's judgment is coming to it. It's coming, and He's going to use these third world nations to take us down.
I believe that. It's how God worked all through the Old Testament.
We're proud and we're arrogant, and we've abandoned Him. Not me and you. Talk about in the collective sense, but we've allowed our government to become this huge monster, where our government no longer serves the Lord. They're serving Lucifer in their private back rooms, and they're praising Lucifer, and they've turned their backs on the Most High God.
That's true, and we have a nation where the number one export is pornography. Pornography in this country now is a $10 billion a year industry, and we're supposed to be one nation under God.
Well, it's not the Most High God, I'll tell you that.
No, it's not.
But you know what? The Lord will be exalted in every nation in this world. They will know who He is. Every knee is going to bow, and every tongue confess that He is the Most High, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. So right now, what we're seeing is setting up for our destruction, for turning our backs on Him.
That's true, and you have all these people saying peace and safety, that we're all safe, and then you have your whole other group thinks they're going to be raptured in any second, so it's sort of like, who's listening to God?
Yeah, and there's such a mess coming when we see Bush threatening the draft, and I believe that there's going to be a huge outcry on that when it becomes enforceable, because, if anybody's like me and you have children, and there's no way in God's creation they would go to Iraq. You let them go to Iraq. And if they even wanted to draft me, because I'll be of draftable age, anybody up to age 59 is draftable.
59?
Sure, teach me. It's like, sure, teach me how to shoot, so I go after the neocons myself. I don't think they want to give me a gun. I don't think they want to put me out on the field.
Well, maybe they'll give you a paintball gun.
It's not Iraqis I'd shoot, I'll tell you that much. I'd be going after every one of those Satan freaks that have no love for our Lord, just pure hate. I'd be going after every one of them.
Well, we are clearly in the end times, and I just hope people wake up.
Yeah, this innocent killing slaughtering of the innocents has to stop. It has to stop. I sat and looked at these pictures last week with tears coming down my face. I couldn't take it. War is war, okay? And you expect casualties in war, but this is an unjustified war. This is a war for greed. This is a war for Satan. This is a war about setting up the Illuminati's plans to control the world. It has nothing to do about God. This little Iraqi nation, they don't threaten America. We're not afraid of them. What threat are they to us?
So you think that they're just trying to stomp out the Islamic resistance to this coming New Age?
Well, they have to kill off a couple million Islamic Muslims. You know that.
The radical Muslims.
Because they're even as much as they hate us because we're monotheistic,
right.
They're Christians, they're the same way. They worship Allah. They're not going to worship the Antichrist as God. So they got to get rid of them too.
So the more radicals our government's systematically taking them out.
Yeah, and you create wars to take their people out, and at the same time you're killing two birds with a stone because you're taking our able-bodied fighting people out. So they can't fight. They're not at home here when the Russians and Chinese are coming up and throwing their parents and kids in martial law in the internment camps. They're not here to defend them.
So back to that, you think after a second attack in America there will be martial law?
Yeah, the second attack will bring on martial law, will also bring on the invasion, according to Dmitry Duduman's grandson, his vision.
Well, I do believe Jesus will come and rapture those that truly follow him before the Antichrist takes over the world. But as you were saying last week, we don't know how bad things are going to get till that point, right?
Well, the Lord's not going to have a rapture of any kind until after the Antichrist arrives and before the mark is enforced. Because he says he will save the Church of Philadelphia from the hour of tribulation.
Right.
And then it tells you the hour of the tribulation is the time when the mark is enforced upon the world. So you have a time frame there from the time the Antichrist comes to the time that the mark is enforced on the world that there will be a rapture right then and there. But there will be a huge martial law and a huge 50 to 60 million persecution of Christians before that even happens.
So you're saying times are going to get very bad for all of us.
Very bad. And by the time the rapture comes, who's left? Because, we're going to be in martial law before then. We're going to have a nuclear war here before then. Who's left? He will protect his own. He has his own that he will hide, that he has chosen to hide. But many more are going to be tested from him direct because they're lukewarm.
lukewarm, and especially all those that are believing once saved, always saved. They're
These people that are swimming in false